Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Crisis in the Kremlin Let's Play, comrades. That is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I am not a Marxist-Leninist. I am actually a Marxist Democratic Socialist. And very much fearing for persecution because you have the U.S. slipping to fascism. And Trump trying to use the assassination of a far-right hateful figure is an excuse to try and outlaw the left in the United States. Something that would have been unthinkable not too long ago, but democracy is dying. And, you know, the billionaire class will always do this bullshit, look for any excuse to increase repression when they're losing the grip, or they're afraid they might lose the grip on power, because honestly, they're a long way from losing their grip. They're just trying to get ahead of things. Just as here, trying to get ahead of the liberals, the capitalists trying to undermine the Soviet Union. The difference, of course, is in billionaires doing what they're doing to create an unequal society. Here I'm trying to protect the system that gives people housing, healthcare, education, food, basic necessities of life. Whereas in real life, I'm worried about not being able to meet any of those needs. So security is dragging their freaking heels, taking forever, making it hard for me to keep a roof over my head. I got cheated out of SSDI, the society I'm talking about that's dragging the heels. Cheated out of it by a rule in the mid-90s that made jobs that work while you're more than a half-time student for the university not count towards payroll tax contributions, and I got disabled at precisely the wrong age, where SSDI work requirements are at their maximum, where they just reached the maximum. They ramp up to, like, I think it's 30 or 31, whatever, which is when I got disabled, and then they sit there for like 10 years or more. So that's the worst possible age to get disabled, or at least I could have the credits, work credits, especially if there were any periods like after grad school where you're searching for jobs, which there was for me. And then after relocating to a different state, it took longer than I thought before I got something, so I ended up retraining as an EMT, working EMS, saving lives in ambulances. But yeah, narrowly got cheated out of the work credits because of a stupid rule added by Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton in the mid-90s that screwed over a whole bunch of different classes of jobs from not having to do getting payroll tax contribution. Before then, like if I had gotten disabled, say in the 80s, would have been able to get it. So might I be able to meet my housing needs? No. Healthcare needs, Medicaid is being attacked. Food, SNAP is being attacked. I eat food stamps. All my basic human needs are being attacked, and because I'm disabled from COVID, I cannot work. I have very, very limited energy, and despite assholes, I even one guy in my bar was like, "Oh, why don't you just, you need to be redirected, you're just too limited." It's like, dude, my energy gives out when I go to like an appointment out for an hour and get back, and then I have post-exertion malaise for 3 days after. I cannot, and I go traveling just to a different part of the state for a while for something. I had to do that, and I had post-exertional malaise for a week and a half. I cannot work because with the long COVID, my energy levels are so low, and the post-exertional malaise is so bad that I cannot leave where I live every day. My body simply does not have the energy for it. So the most I could do is pick up a little part-time work, which isn't nearly enough to pay rent. People are just assholes, and they want to believe because they're healthy, everyone can do what they do. And I was healthy. I was on the verge of becoming a physician before I got long COVID in 2021. It's ridiculous. I've had the worst luck in my life. Obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. Things that made it much slower to get to be where I wanted to be. It took a long time to get to where I would make it to med school. Much older than I would have liked. And then right as I was going to make it to an MD, I was already in med school, but not in a graduate program, not on the MD side. Right when I was going to get into an MD, got disabled by a virus, an airborne virus that my roommate gave me. It's like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. So, anyways, here we go. Decrucification. Shortly before his death, Comrade Chernenko began, and of course now the system treats me like I should just die, because the U.S. is evil, and it always has been. It was during the Cold War, it is now. It was the greater evil in the Cold War, and it won. Shortly before his death, Comrade Chernenko began preparations for restoring the image of Stalin in history and shifting the blame for excessive de-Stalinization from the party to Khrushchev. By the time of his death, some Stalinist figures restored the party as, for example, Comrade Molotov. Will we continue this line? Since my character is neo-Stalinist, and even though it may be I may have personal moral objections to this, this is to prevent the Soviet Union from collapsing, so start full restoration. Political rehabilitation has begun, and Khrushchev is blamed for moving away from principles of collective governance. Stalin reappeared in all textbooks as the great Soviet leader. The way the game represents it, there may be some truth to that, because actually the political system of the Soviet Union when the game starts is less democratic than it was under Stalin's era, at least the way the game represents the interior policies. Let me show what I'm talking about here. If you start with Khrushchev type, you actually start with party leaderization instead of Soviet Republic. That's not what I was actually looking for. Not state structure. Separation of powers. Create conscription elections. Where the heck was it? Arts freedom? No. Just looking around at the different things. Should be something to do with the council. I'm looking for the thing that details the way you're power sharing with the ministers and such. Head of the Supreme Council. Chairman is independent. That's just the chairman. The ministers, yeah, did have power. Ministers must obey you. You have to share power with ministers. Yeah, this would be closer to what it was back in Stalin's era. Head of the CMC chairman is independent. Stalin was actually overruled many times in his decisions. Although he may bear the blame for that system ending. When he took power, that's how it worked. CIA report, though, from the early 50s, before he died, indicates that's still how it worked. So if he changed it, he changed it at the very end of his life, when he was very sick and barely out and about. So it probably was actually Khrushchev. It was quite conservative to undermine that if the game having the ministers having no power is accurate. Of course, that's a minor quibble. That's how much power essentially the cabinet has versus the top leader. System elections was still a mess. People's democracy is or direct democracy would be closer to real republic. I don't. Also, is Chinese democracy. This would probably improve the Chinese opinion of me. Should consider doing that. Anyways, speaking of foreign relations here, we should give out a little more aid. Situation in Angola, Tanzania, Zambia, Mozambique is a little not great. In Madagascar, some civil aid will just come out of the reserves. Level 5. Let's see. Public power is 38. See how much this costs Mozambique. Times 5. Yeah, it's only one, so it's more efficient political power to do larger. Same with Angola, Zambia, Madagascar, and Tanzania. Congo. Basically a whole bunch of countries that were coming unstable because their development was too low. Oh, Ghana as well. Benin. Yeah, probably 280. Yeah, that's gonna be a whole lot out of the reserves. A lot. Have to trim money somewhere. It's going to come back to bite me with higher corruption in the long run. It's going to do this because I'll just one-off increase the fine next time the intellectuals are angry. Military tech. And diplomat mission. Stabilized agriculture. Well, it's all I can afford to trim from anything. It's gonna really hit the gold reserve hard. Be able to do any more of these kind of events for a while. Nothing is forgotten. The other day in Brazil, the alleged grave of the Nazi criminal and sadist Joseph Mengele was found. Worked in the notorious concentration camp Auschwitz. Over the 12 months of his work at Auschwitz, he earned a reputation as one of the most dangerous Nazis. Nicknamed the Angel of Death, he carried out inhumane experiments on prisoners, crossed twins, amputated organs without anesthesia, and he changed the color of their eyes with chemicals to match right citizens' quote racial theory. However, the monster was not destined to suffer a deserved punishment. After the war, he managed to escape to Argentina, probably with the help of the CIA, because they helped a lot of these sorts escape, and then tried to use them as, quote, assets where they sent them, and later moved to neighboring Brazil where he died. Party members in the years of the 40th, and they often, CIA actually hid people from State Department who was actually trying to hunt some of these guys down. They had a special division that was doing that. U.S. government working against itself. Because the CIA was so out of control in the Cold War. Not to mention stuff like the CIA's alleged role in Kennedy's assassination. The guy who did it had a friend who was in the CIA who may have influenced him, put the idea in his head. No one's arguing over who did it, but the person. I mean, there's some crazy conspiracy theorists who argue against that, but it is in fact that he was friends with CIA agent. It's been suggested that agent influenced him towards trying to assassinate Kennedy. After all, he tried to assassinate a fascist before Kennedy. Doesn't make sense to go from trying to assassinate a member of the right to the left. Completely without anybody influencing him. Anyways, party members in the years of the 40th anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War, that is World War II, offered to spend an anti-fascist month to once again recall the victims of fascism and honor the memory of the dead. We can also invite Brazil and carry out this campaign together, which will improve relations between our countries. With the Brazilian leader, large-scale anti-fascist month unfolded in the Soviet Union. The country is a socialist camp in Brazil, during which the theme of atrocities of the Nazi regime during the Second World War again became relevant. The leaders of Brazil and the Soviet Union met in Moscow today to conclude joint treaties of friendship, cooperation, and a joint struggle against fascism and any other forms of racial discrimination. The leaders of the Soviet Union and Brazil laid flowers near a tomb of an unknown soldier, honoring the memory of the victims with a moment of silence. Later, President Jose Sarnet announced the invaluable contribution of the Soviet people in the fight against the Nazi totalitarian regime. Yeah, it's basically the Soviets who won World War II. It would have never happened without the Eastern Front, where the vast majority of the fighting occurred. And there's this myth that it was all done with U.S. weapons or something. Actually, the vast majority of equipment that was used in the Eastern Front was Soviet. That's a proven fact, actually. What is true is the U.S. provided a lot of food to the Soviets so they could draft a lot of farmers into the military. And some stuff that provided logistical support. Stuff like trucks. Key things that the Soviet Union had made trouble making itself. So U.S. Lend-Lease was invaluable, but the U.S. by no means made the majority of equipment used in the Eastern Front. Instead, they met key needs that the Soviet Union had trouble meeting itself. Amid the cooling of relations between Brazil and the United States, they're increasingly gravitating towards cooperation with the Soviet Union, but the domestic political situation leaves much desired. Apparently, the President of the New Republic will not last long. Yeah, the Brazilian military will try and coup him in. Yeah. Brazil will not stay in the socialist camp, unfortunately. It is for a little while, and that temporarily weakens the U.S. And this is technically Soviet line, but they're a retiring country. Oh. Reserves are low, so I can't. Can't do much. Unanimity is low. Intellectuals are predictably disloyal. Opposition is way too strong. Strong in the KGB. Just a decent, well-paid environment. It's not great, but education accessibility is not high. Probably because of ultra educational development funding. I didn't realize that affected education availability. To help, but special services need funding, so. The opposition is so strong. Definitely be negative and soon with that. Acceleration. Comrade or economy standing in some country. Comrades suggest action. Some of them want to implement the acceleration policy, which expands import budget expenses and officially admits economy problems. Others suggest to restore underpops methods of discipline, which are canceled by Chernenko. The rest think that his alliance supporters the city should be purged. The only option is to restore underpops methods. This guy. This government coalition. Campaign of restoring discipline and order in industry gave us positive results. Total income increase of 3% and production increase of 4%. Expected. That should have affected the labor policy wherever. There we go. Nope. Parasitism fighting. That's what it should have been. But movement reforms customs plan like in Hungary, let the state support private initiative as well as expand the power of directors of enterprises and workers' councils. Yep. Alright. A little more budget here. A little more into this because it affects education availability. Let's look at the economic sectors. Agriculture's doing alright. Service sector's all weak. Alright. More into the service sector now. That will tend to drive up corruption. So I delayed it. It's clearly necessary. She's way too strong. Alright. Democrat movements in Russia. Again. Definitely all the army and soldiers dispersed the crowd and arrested the organizers.
Бесстрашно отряд поскакал на врага. Завязалась кровавая битва, и боец молодой.
Strength, not much. A little more money. Decrease soldiers. The expenses a little. Army on the other hand is extremely strong, so let's get the weapons budget. It's the state propaganda budget. Channels have been well enough. Should increase the propaganda budget even further. It's a little early to cut this, but I need to pause for a second to take a quick break and see you folks in bed. And welcome back. Afraid things are still frosty with China, despite my efforts. There's real risk of DEFCON increasing again with the US, and put power at the moment. Just gonna have to boom. Terrorists are hostages. In a new issue you can read, there is that an Egyptian plane was recently captured by Americans. The U.S. claim is it was used to transport terrorists from Egypt to Tunisia. Egyptian government representative Mubarak accuses the U.S. of piracy. Uh, accuse Egypt together with the U.S. Should prove relations to the U.S. at all. The Egyptian government supports terrorists. It was discovered by American Special Services, and our government agrees that we need to continue anti-terrorist campaign. Mubarak's government, under pressure from the world and UN sanctions, retired. Free elections took place. When Mubarak's supporters won, he became a Grey Cardinal of Egypt. Should improve the situation a little bit. Yep, improved relations with the U.S. Fiscal situation is tough. I've spent so much overseas. Alright, could lose due to running out of money, I suppose. Our agent recruitment today, Aldrich Ames, was recruited in the USA, was sent to the Soviet Department of CIA. Aldrich, he drinks a lot and gets depressed, stating that he's disappointed by the US foreign politics, but now getting help for small amount of money, so yeah, he can be recruited. Can't act so directly. What does that do to the Brezhnev doctrine? Use him one time, I guess. After one-time payment, Aldrich Ames provides us with some information which helps strengthen our power in the country. Really pay him a substantial portion of the budget. Okay, prisoner divisions. Afghan war takes too much resources from our state. Some comrades suggest to restore World War II policy, which allow prisoners to shorten their sentence by serving in the military. Of course, they'll be overlooked by special CSS officers. Wonderful idea. Some prisoners returned from Afghanistan early and injured, but the system works and we could spend additional resources to combat Islamists. The West, Laurie Cart returned to bloody Stalinism. Of course, that hurt relations with the U.S. Must have been triggered. Oh, no, actually, things are going well in the Afghan war.